Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to look at the position of the islands in game and where they are placed along the monster world, as there is some really interesting lore behind their position. This map that is on the screen now was revealed in the 7th anniversary reveal trailer when Fire Frontier was revealed. Now in the trailer we get a quick overview of the monster world as it is, but you really don't get any facts from it or anything. It's really just a sort of going to each island that was released, and there's no lore behind it whatsoever, so I just really wanted to go over it. And I've had this video on my to-do list for a while. Anyway, let's go on with the video. So in the monster world, as shown on this map on screen now, the 5 natural islands are all placed in the center of the monster world. Now what's interesting to note here is that the natural islands are all in the positions that they were in when the continent was around. So when the continent did split up, the islands didn't change direction necessarily and all share the same resemblance in regard to their position. Now whilst we don't know how wide the gaps are in between the islands, the gap between the natural islands is rather small in comparison to the others. So maybe the islands haven't moved too far from one another. But again, this is sort of impossible to know without knowing how far apart each island actually is. The musical notes along the map indicate as each island was discovered by the monsters within the monster world, so as it was released, with the natural islands being found first, then Ethereal Island, Sugarbush Island, Tribal Island, Wobbling Island, Composer Island, Celestial Island, Fire Haven, Fire Oasis, and then finally Psychic Island. The area Gold Island exists in within the monster world is nicknamed the Higher Plane, and Ethereal Island exists in a pocket dimension. The Celestial Island area is where the monster world's ocean is located, which was confirmed by My Singing Monsters Live.
To Celestial Island, crashing out in the ocean, the living ocean of the monster world.
It's unknown how large this ocean is, but it did seem to be seemingly confirmed on My Singing Monsters Live when they discussed about the monster world themselves, that this ocean must make its way, therefore, if it is the only ocean, to Fire Oasis. And therefore, from the confirmation from My Singing Monsters Live that there is seemingly only one piece of ocean that exists within the monster world, meaning that the ocean isn't separated as well, we can work out that this ocean must travel along the monster world to outside the volcano on Firehaven and along to Tribal Island, where the bottle was picked up by Kana in the Firehaven reveal trailer. Now of course we know that it would be near Firehaven as well, because a volcano, which Firehaven exists within, outside the volcano there is a huge piece of ocean. And also it must go to Fire Oasis, as that was built by the monsters themselves on top of water. From the Fire Oasis trailer, we know that there was no sign of the volcano with Firehaven inside it, from what we could see when Glau was heading towards the area that Fire Oasis exists, and therefore it's presumable that all the islands have a relatively huge gap in between each other. But again, we don't know how large this gap is, or the scale of each gap. And also, the map isn't really a good indicator of the actual size of the gaps overall in between islands, as it really could just be a rough map of where each island is in the monster world and not be based around actual distance between islands. I mean, obviously when you look at like Ethereal Island, that's in its own pocket dimension, so of course that is a huge distance and that is evident from the map, but it's just a rough estimate, isn't it, really, the map? I think, I'm not sure, maybe the monsters took loads of time into it, I don't know. I'm just saying that, who knows. I couldn't help but bring up the fact when doing this video as well that it is quite likely that globbers are in the ocean that exists in the monster world too. Probably, but their native area is unknown. Now, so far we have gone over that there is only one piece of ocean, which was evident in My Singing Monsters Live, seemingly. So it's assumable that the globbers are in fact within this ocean. Globbers, if you aren't aware, are colossal-like creatures. Colossals are the ones that inhabit islands like Plant Island, Cold Island, Air Island, all that. They're the ones with the like eyes underneath the island, if that makes sense. It's basically the island itself in most cases. But you also have the likes of Titans. Now, we have Harvard, which is the vegetable medley one. We have the Psychic Island Titan. We have the Sweaty Settlement Titan, the Temple of Huhu, the Earth Island and Cold Island skins. But of course, the globbers itself, if you aren't aware, are colossal-like creatures, yes. And the only one we have seen so far is underneath Party Island. We have not seen any other ones. So globbers are the creatures which are a purple-like creature, and the only one we've seen so far is Party Island, and that's really all you have to know. While talking about the monster world, I thought it would be only fair to talk about the monster world in the past too, as it was in Dawn of Fire. Now, the monster world was vastly different in the era of Dawn of Fire. Party Island actually existed extremely close towards the continent, as evidenced by the loading screen that I am going to put on screen now. While it may just be a bit of a glitch, I think it's actually interesting to note that the island actually does move in game. If you keep your screen still and don't move it, the island moves by itself. Now, I think this was actually intentional. I really do. I think it's got so much sense here. Like, when I explain it to you all gonna go, what? When I explain this theory? Okay. So, seen as though the island actually moves itself based on this, it would only be fair to assume that since the loading screen was released when Party Island came out, that Party Island has moved further away from its original position too. Now let's get into the nit and gritty. Ooh, we have a good theory here, guys. But let me explain. Of course, the natural islands were all together in the era of Dawn of Fire 2, with even the volcano that is home to Firehaven being actually near the continent. It was so close to the continent, it was unreal. So, I think it's definitely a good question that needs to be asked whether or not Firehaven actually existed in the era of Dawn of Fire 2, actually, as Firehaven is literally located directly inside the volcano, so you would naturally assume that Firehaven actually does exist in the era of Dawn of Fire. Now, that is a very good question to ask My Singing Monsters Live, because I actually do think that Firehaven did exist in the era of Dawn of Fire, because it wouldn't just make sense for the Colossal to just emerge out of lava. It's got to have been there. Going off that, seen as though the volcano actually is a direct representation of where the continent used to exist on the actual map of the monster world now, we can actually use this to sort of work out where the globbers are. Now, let me explain why the volcano is a direct representation of where the continent used to be. The volcano is a static structure. It is nailed into the ground. It is a physical monument. It is not able to be moved. It's not on top of a colossal. It's not on top of a titan. It's not on top of any of that. Now, I don't know what happened in between, like, the continent splitting up and the formation of the colossals on top of them, but what I do know is that the volcano is a natural object. It wouldn't move. Let me explain why it explains where the globbers are. Right. Now, seen as though all of the natural islands have moved away to the left of Firehaven on the map, as it is evident, the islands have clearly moved, all of the natural islands, just like Party Island does in-game. And seen as though we know that the natural islands must have moved less along than what Party Island must have, as it has been moving for a very long time, as evident in Dawn of Fire as the island moves off screen. We can work out that the globbers, and therefore the remains of Party Island, must be around the ocean that is located near Celestial Island. Celestials? You better get looking for them globbers. So, basically, because we know that the islands have moved and Party Island has moved further, and the ocean exists, literally the only ocean, which goes around to Firehaven and Fire Oasis and everything, they literally exist near Celestial Island, the globbers must be there, and the remains of Party Island. And there we have it, guys. What a theory. With the Mirror Islands, it's interesting to know that they actually exist in an alternate timeline as well in the monster world with the map. So basically, they don't exist in the monster world that we know of, and therefore aren't actually a part of the lore, really. Thus, that is why they are not on the map of the monster world as we know it at all right now. You must wonder what actually happened in this dimension though, as whilst it isn't a part of our monster world that we know, it really does look like something big happened if you look at all the ethereal ooze around each mirror island and the damaged Dawn of Fire structures, as well because it's an alternate timeline. What exactly happened for them events to occur? It must be asked. What happened between the Dawn of Fire era and the monster world era, because assumably it is in the same time. It's not further ahead in the future. It's just literally in the same time as the monster world as we know it, but it's an alternate one, isn't it? So, because of that, you really have to wonder what events occurred, because it must have been drastically different to the Dawn of Fire era and the monster world era as we know it. What happened in between there? Because literally just the continent split up and then we found islands and stuff so far in terms of lore. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion, isn't it, really? The theme of the monster world, as indicated by the rather thick line going across Tribal, Composer and Sugarbush Island, indicates islands that are closest to us in the human world. And these islands all share factors that explain their position on the seam. Now, the seam is the gap basically between our world and the monster world. Think of it like that. Tribal Island involves actual tribes that do originate from humanity, thus its position. And this would be where monsters would have gotten the ideas from making tribes from the human world. Composer Island actually involves human music and us composing music, literally some songs that are made on Composer Island literally directly are songs from the human world, so that explains its position there as well. And then Sugarbush Island's song is basically an adaptation of a human song, Love Our Money by Christian Bush, so that explains all of the island's positions and why they are all along the seam. Now guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. We've had a good ton of theories in this, jeez, whoa, we've been throwing them theories out. You might need to watch this video again because I threw a theory after a theory. We've gone over the globbers, we've gone over where Party Island is, we've gone over the position of the islands in My Singing Monsters, where islands interrelate and things, and the discovery of each island and how it relates to lore. Oh my goodness, this was a really good video. I really enjoyed writing this. Anyway guys, I will see you all later. I hope you have a lovely weekend. I know I will. I'm going to be having a nice relax now after making this. And for the rest of the weekend, I think I'm going to have a nice relax too until we make the next video. Anyway, guys, I will see you later. Bye, everyone.